Welcome back to another episode of the BJack 70 Show. I'm your host, Brandon Jackson, and we just came off a great weekend of NFL playoff football. A great weekend of football in general, even if you count the college football playoffs, unless you're a fan of the Oregon Ducks. But we're not going to talk about that tonight. We're only talking NFL here today. And wow, what can I say? So we're going to review what I did in Brandon's bets, and we're going to get into all 6 of these games. But before we get into it, just want to say, since you're here, go ahead and like that video. Go ahead and subscribe to the channel on YouTube and click the link in the description and subscribe on Spotify. Please, it'll help me out. You can get it, you can listen to it, watch it either way, however you want to. The audio and the video is available on Spotify. It's available here on YouTube as well. So either way, I appreciate you listening, appreciate you being part of the community. But if you're watching, please go ahead, hit that subscribe button for me. It helps the channel tremendously if you go ahead and do that. Gets me out to the algorithm so more people can see it. But enough about that. Let's get right into what happened this weekend in the NFL playoffs, NFL wild card weekend. And I just want to say, starting off, the two things that I really truly believed in, they happened. One was Caleb Williams as a whole, as an entity, as a quarterback, as a player, as a record label, staff, and a crew believed in Caleb Williams, and he brought it he brought it to the table. He put it on the table and led the Bears to an 18-point comeback. We will talk about that more specifically once we get into the game, but I just want to say I truly believed in Caleb Williams, and he rewarded me with a gambling win. And the second thing that I believed in truly was that Houston Texans defense against the Pittsburgh Steelers, against Aaron Rodgers, masterclass performance. CJ Stroud refused to keep the ball in his hands, gave it to the Pittsburgh Steelers multiple times. Steelers couldn't take advantage. This Texas defense is lights out. That front four, you got Autry, Rankins, Anderson, Hunter, everybody else playing. Stingley in the secondary, Lassner in the secondary, Bullock in the secondary, whole defense, every level. Al-Shair, toe, like it's outstanding. D'Amico Ryans has them boys playing their asses off on that defense. I believed in them, and they got me a gambling win. So this week against the spread, I went 2 for 4. Rams didn't cover. They won, but they didn't cover. Bears covered, won outright. Jags didn't cover. They lost. Eagles didn't cover. They lost. Chargers didn't cover. That was pitiful. Texans won. Bears won. So 2 for 4 against the spread. Straight up picking the games, 3 for 3. I picked the Rams to win. They won by 3. Had to come back late, but we'll get to that shortly. It was. I really, I knew the Rams would win, but I definitely didn't think that it was going to be that close. Bears, I thought would win. I knew they would keep it. I thought they would keep it close. They didn't originally, but they ended up coming back. Bills and Jags was extremely close. That one was a difficult one to really pick. It was close all game, 3-point game. I lost, but I'm not mad at that one. Niners, Eagles, I was on the wrong side of that one. That's my bad. I should have I knew what this Eagles defense was. I mean, Eagles offense was capable of, and they were capable of putting up a huge stinker. And I should have took that more into consideration rather than the injuries on the Niners. Um, that one was a miss by me. The Chargers, super miss by me. Didn't think the Patriots could take advantage of the Chargers offensive line. That was a mistake. They took advantage of it all night. And Texans, we were on the right side of that the whole way. The Steelers were never going to score any real points. So as long as the Texans could put a touchdown or two on the board, I think it would have been good. But they got two defensive touchdowns, got one touchdown on offense. I didn't expect CJ Stroud to fumble the ball, drop snaps, miscommunication, with the offensive line, throw a stupid interception. Didn't really expect that, but we got the win anyway. So that's the recap of the bets. But let's get into these actual games, and let's start here where we'll go in order of the weekend. Los Angeles Rams 34, Carolina Panthers 31. And the Rams, they had to score late. They won late, game-winning touchdown. Matthew Stafford to Colby Parkinson. It wasn't pretty. It wasn't pretty. The Rams looked way more vulnerable than I thought that they would against these Panthers. And I know that the Panthers were good at home, but I thought the same thing against the Seahawks, and they shit the bed. But they came to play. They came to play on Saturday. But Matthew Stafford to Puka Nacua, Devontae Adams, Colby Parkinson was just too much. Puka Nacua is a force to be reckoned with. You probably got to say he's the best wide receiver in the league. Everybody else who has a case didn't play this weekend. JSN was at the crib, so he'll get a chance to show what he can do next weekend. Jamar Chase, Jamar Jefferson sitting at the crib for good for the 2025 season. We'll see you fall 2026. You can state your case then, but for now, feels like Puka Nacua is the best receiver in the league, has the crown right now. Yeah, we will talk about looking forward to the matchups coming divisional round weekend. We'll talk about those later in the week. But right now, that Rams looked a little bit more vulnerable than I would have liked to have seen. And on the other side, Bryce did what he could. Bryce Young did what he could. I think he's earned a little bit more leash with the Carolina Panthers. If that wasn't already the case before this game, because I think it was, but this kind of performance in a playoff game does allow you a little bit longer of a look. Fifth-year option most likely coming, or if it's not already accepted, that will be. This is an intriguing team going forward, looking into 2026 for them. We'll see how the running back room shakes out. Seems like Rico Dowdle was a little bit perturbed by the amount of carries he was getting to end the season. Chuba Hubbard fell out of favor and fell back into favor, but it's running. They're running backs in the NFL. We'll see how that goes. We truly don't know how that'll go, but I mean this Panthers team, they technically won their division, and they put up a fight. But going forward, they're going to have to get much better. They're going to have to get much better to really be a factor in the NFC South going forward, especially depending on whoever Atlanta gets as their head coach. See if Baker Mayfield bounces back, and with Kellen Moore and Tyler Shuck, if they continue on the trajectory that they finished the year with, they are going to have something to say about the division next year. That team was much better than its record. They played hard the whole year. That Saints team might be something to watch. Panthers, they're going to have to make sure they make an effort to get better this offseason. But I'll say I can say it was a good year for them because they did make the playoffs. I didn't really expect that from them, so kudos to them. And they took the Rams to the limit. They took the Rams to the limit, and that's not something I bet against it. I thought it was going to be a double-digit win for the Rams. So, hey, kudos to the Panthers. So, all right, next up, the Green Bay Packers. Well, Chicago Bears 31, Green Bay Packers 27. I thought it was over. I'm not gonna lie to you. I thought it was over. Green Bay, they went up 11 late. I think it was 27-16. They went up pretty midway through the fourth, and man, I thought it was over. I'm like, I'm on, my bets are losing. Like, what's going on? Caleb's gonna be out of it. I believed in this Bears team. What's going on? That wasn't the case. Number 18 brought him back from down 18. And it was a special performance by Caleb Williams. The 4th down and 8 conversion, that the pass that he threw is you can barely even make that pass in a video game. I've been saying it on the show. He is showing all the attributes of the special talent that we thought we were getting at the number 1 overall pick. He is showing that he is that special talent that we saw his freshman year at Oklahoma, his sophomore year at USC winning the Heisman Trophy. He is showing that he is really that guy. Ben Johnson has him locked in, getting the fundamentals down first, and then being able to unlock the most off-platform, the most insane arm angles, the most insane launch points on these passes, and getting them to connect. That 4th down that he converted, that's all just athletic ability, unbelievable talent playing the quarterback position. The game-winning touchdown to DJ Moore, that's Ben Johnson. Had to be a good pass. Caleb threw the pass. DJ Moore caught the pass, but it was executed perfectly. But that is a great play call from Ben Johnson. That specific play is what you hire him and make him. I don't know the contract situation, but seemingly one of the best paid coaches in the league for. Like the hot candidate, the most sought after head coaching candidate that we've seen in a while, maybe since McVay. Ben Johnson showed you exactly why he was that. He was that candidate. He was that quote unquote savior that teams were looking for, and he delivered. He delivered the Chicago Bears a playoff victory. Can they keep going? Can they keep moving forward? We will see. That remains to be seen, and we'll talk about that later in the week. But right now, Ben Johnson, he's it was looking rough for a little while during that game. It was looking rough, but he got it together, And the defense stepped up. Were able to get the Packers off the field. That was huge. They were able to get the Packers off the field when they really needed it. And Caleb in the offense, Ben Johnson in the offense, they came through. They kept it close enough to where they can make the moves when they needed it. They can't keep doing this. They cannot keep getting away with this. Okay? They cannot keep getting away with this. So we'll talk about that again. We'll talk about it later in the week, but they got away with it again. And they won. They beat the Packers 31-27. Came back down from down 18. Unbelievable win. As far as the Packers go, Jordan Love has all the talent in the world, but on those last two drives, couldn't really bring it together the way that they needed to. Even if they did on that second to last drive, even if they did make the field goal, obviously Bears come back on the other side, they score a touchdown, it wouldn't have mattered. But Jordan did have a shot. Jordan did have a little bit of a shot to go ahead and try to win the game on his end, and it just didn't work out. I'm in these moments, I'm thinking about what the Tucker Kraft injury did to them. Because it seems like he was a guy that really, really could get a win and could get you somebody that was open on third downs or in those critical moments. So I'm really thinking about how much that hurt them. Matthew Golden had a great box score, made some unbelievable plays. The touchdown that he scored was unbelievable. But I'm not even gonna go there because he's a rookie. He's a rookie wide receiver. Maybe he grows into somebody, that is demanding that ball in clutch situations like this. But otherwise, they just didn't have that guy. Matt LaFleur, I don't think Green Bay is getting rid of him. I don't think he's going anywhere. It would be absolutely insane for them to let him go. He's one of those guys like with John Harbaugh, with Kevin Stefanski. If the team lets him go, he will have a head coaching job 20 minutes after he's gone. As a Browns fan, I'm hoping that they go ahead and let him go. I would love that. We would jump at the opportunity to get a Matt LaFleur in the building, but I don't think that's going to be an issue. I don't think that's going to be a problem. I think Matt LaFleur will be staying put. So shout out to the Bears, man. I thought it was done. Going over to Sunday, we got the Buffalo Bills 27, the Jacksonville Jaguars 24. This game was extremely close. Josh Allen made some great throws under pressure. He lived up to the MVP billing, lived up to the best quarterback in these playoffs billing. He lived up to it because he stood in that pocket 10 toes down, knew that he was going to get crushed, and made the throws anyway. And I have to respect it. Even though I wanted the Jags to win, even though I love Trevor Lawrence, I have to respect what Josh Allen did in this football game. But it was an extremely close game throughout. Bills pull ahead. Jags get the ball. They throw an interception, play 2, game's over. It is what it is. It is what it is. They had a chance to win it. They couldn't do it. If they, it could be a different game if they don't miss the field goal before half. If Trevor doesn't throw that first bad interception in the first quarter, who knows what the game looks like from that point. But this is the playoffs. the margins are that thin. If you're the Jaguars and if you're Trevor Lawrence, you can kind of take solace in the fact that, Trevor has stood against Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen in these playoff games, and he's taken both of them to the limit. He's given both of them on the other side everything that they can handle. So you can be happy that the moment isn't too big for Trevor Lawrence because he has those moments, and obviously he brought the Jags back from down a double digit deficit in their first playoff game. So you can look at the silver lining and know that the moment isn't too big for Trevor Lawrence going forward. And I think this still was a very good year for the Jacksonville Jaguars, even given this result, even them losing, going one and done, and they were at home. I think, it probably doesn't feel like it if you're a Jags fan, like a true Jacksonville Jaguars fan, but from the outside looking in, I think you should be happy with this year, especially moving forward. Because his defense is good. Trevor seems like things have clicked. You get Travis Hunter back. Parker Washington is great. Who knows what you do with Brian Thomas Jr., but if you decide to move him, you should get pretty good draft capital for him. I don't know what the deal is with him in Jacksonville, but that kind of seems to has run its course very quickly. But I still think he's a good talent, so he could pop off elsewhere. But seemingly Jags don't really need him right now. As long as Travis Hunter comes back healthy, and they still plan to play him on both sides of the football. If they don't, then that's a different discussion. But I do think, unfortunately, even with the loss, it was a good year for this Jags football team because they were real. They were there. They were right there. They had a chance to win it. They played Josh Allen. Sometimes it just comes down to you play in this league. You play against you play against great players, all-time quarterbacks on the other side, and they played against one. They brought the heat. And he stood in the kitchen, and he cooked up, and you just got to tip your cap and hope that your guy that you have can make some of those plays in the future. So, great win by the Buffalo Bills. Great team win by the Buffalo Bills. Next up, San Francisco 49ers 23, Philadelphia Eagles 19. I should have known the Eagles were gonna put up a stinker on offense. That offense is broken from the play caller to AJ Brown in the locker room, storming off, yelling at Sirianni on the sideline, not catching the football. Other receivers not catching the football. Saquon Barkley not catching the football on a crucial third down when he threw it to him. The Niners on the other side, they did enough. They did enough. Brock Purdy did it, just did enough to win the game. Kyle Shanahan is going to put this team in the best possible position to win football games. He is an elite head coach. I don't care what you think, you don't like his demeanor, you don't like him in the press conference, you don't like him as a person, you don't like nepotism. I don't care. Kyle Shanahan is an elite head football coach. And they're doing this. They lost George Kittle. You already know the laundry list of names that they've lost on the defensive side of the football. Shout out Robert Saleh. Shout out head coach and candidate Robert Saleh. Um, this Niners team, man, good for them. They got the win, but I'm looking at this Eagles team on the other side, and I'm mad at myself. I'm mad at myself that I picked them and believed in them to get this done when I knew the offense is broken. I think I have to go back and watch the film and see what it looks like. But as it feels right now, feels like they let Jalen Hurts down in this one. There have been multiple times you can look at Jalen Hurts and you can point the finger at him, but on this one, I think it was everybody else. I think they let that man down. And it is what it is. They're gonna have a new offensive coordinator. AJ Brown cannot be on this football team in 2026. Saquon will be another year removed from his peak year, and this is no shade. He'll never get to the highs that he got in 2024. That as a running back, unless you're Adrian Peterson, you only get that kind of year one time. Unless you're LaDainian Tomlinson, you only get that kind of year one time. Unless you're Derrick Henry, you only get that kind of year one time. And he has been an elite talent, but I don't think he's those guys. I think we may have seen the best of Saquon Barkley that we've, I think we've already seen the best of Saquon Barkley. So I don't need to talk too much about this Eagles team. Shout out to the Niners. Congrats to the Uber driver I had that was a Niners fan. Later in the week we'll talk about the Niners going to Seattle, and we'll see how that goes. We know how it looked the last time that they played the Seahawks, but we'll talk about that later in the week. But congrats to the Niners, and congrats to my Uber driver that I had on Saturday or Sunday, excuse me. Next up, Los Angeles Chargers scored 3 points. New England Patriots scored 16 points. The Patriots won. The Chargers. There's not much that needs to be said other than it was the offensive line. I made the mistake of thinking that the Patriots couldn't take advantage of the Chargers offensive line. I was horrifically mistaken. Horrifically mistaken. That was really the game. The Chargers couldn't get anything going on offense. Amarion Hampton was he active and didn't play, or was he inactive and we thought he was going to be? I don't even really know or remember. But this Chargers team couldn't get anything going. They couldn't get the ball off the tee. They couldn't inbound the ball. Whatever other sport analogy you want to use, they could not do anything once they snapped the football because this offensive line was so putrid. And it's a shame. It's a shame. Everybody's going to talk about how talented Justin Herbert is. But this game in a vacuum, there was nothing that he could have done. There was nothing he could have done. You have to remember his hand is broken. His hand is broken. You do have to remember that. And I'm not going to shoot Justin Herbert a whole bunch of bail, but actually, yeah, I am. I'm going to shoot Justin Herbert a bunch of bail for this game in particular. There was nothing that he could have done. against Mike Vrabel and this Patriots defense. They only scored 16 points on the other side. Doesn't matter because they could have won with 5. So if they just got a safety and a field goal, they would have won. I there's not much else to say. There's not much else to say. The Chargers O line let them down, and they're gonna have to make sure Joe Alt and Rashawn Slater get healthy next year, and they're gonna have to invest in the middle, in the center guard combo. They're gonna have to invest in that in a significant way because this can't happen again. They need to invest in their middle 3, at least a swing tackle. They could have handled one tackle going down. Like Rashawn Slater going down was a huge loss, but when Joe Alton was in there, it was fine. They did okay when they had one tackle. But losing 2 tackles, it was just a disaster. It was just a disaster, and that has to be acknowledged. So shout out to the New England Patriots. They did what I didn't think they could do, but I won't be making that mistake again. I won't underestimate what they can do on defense. So that's my bad. I'll take that one on the chin. But yeah, Chargers offensive line was pitiful. And last but not least, the Houston Texans 30, the Pittsburgh Steelers 6. I'm recording this on Monday night, so I don't know what's going to happen with Mike Tomlin. Don't know what's going to happen in the future with Aaron Rodgers. We'll talk about that if anything comes of that, of those 2 future situations. We'll talk about it then. But as of right now, it's all about the Houston Texans. It's all about the Houston Texans defense, that front, what they can do disrupting the pass game. If you get down and you need to pass the ball against this defense, you're going to be in for a bad time. You really are. On the other side, if they can run the football like that against New England might. I'm not gonna say it. I'm not gonna say it. We'll talk about that later in the week. But what Houston was able to do running the football was extremely impressive against Pittsburgh. I did not expect that. I expected a low-scoring game. I was hoping, maybe Houston could get a couple touchdowns, and if they did that, that would be all they needed to shut down the Steelers on the other side. Because I knew once that Houston defense got going, that 6 points that we saw, that was in the range of outcomes, and that was probably the most likely outcome. Talked about it with Will. We didn't even really analyze the game at all. I picked Houston, and I said the defense going after Aaron Rodgers. That's all I said. That's all I needed to say, and that was all that happened. 2 defensive touchdowns, 4 sacks on Aaron Rodgers. Come back on the other side. Texans give the ball up 3 times. In a playoff game, you give the ball up that many times, you're going to have a bad time. Pittsburgh knows specifically about turning the ball over that many times in the playoffs and losing, because that's how they lost to the Cleveland Browns. Everybody's going to tell you Baker Mayfield won that Cleveland Browns game in the playoffs against the Steelers. He didn't win it. He almost gave it away. The Steelers turned the ball over 5 or 6 times in that game. That's the reason that they lost that game. They know about turning the ball over in the playoffs, and that's should be an automatic L. But the Texans turned it over multiple times. They were going in to score. They would have gotten points, and CJ threw one of the worst interceptions I've seen in a minute. Worst interception I've seen since the Shador Sanders interception that he threw up in the air to Jerry Jeudy, and Steelers couldn't take advantage. They couldn't capitalize. Rodgers, he couldn't get anything going. Couldn't get anything going. It's vintage Aaron Rodgers, and not in a good way, but the vintage Aaron Rodgers that's yelling at receivers, that's pissed off after incomplete passes, threw a pick six late. The game was out of reach by then, but he still threw the pick six. That might be the last pass that we see Aaron Rodgers throw, and I hope it isn't, because that would be really, that shouldn't be the way that we see him go out. Somebody that played quarterback, that his calling card was not turning the ball over, to see him throw his last pass and turn the ball over, potentially his last pass, I don't want to see him go out like that, but it may be the way that he goes out. So again, as I'm recording, I don't know what his status is going forward, but if this is it, it was an honor, Aaron Rodgers, to watch you all these years. One of my favorite players to ever play the game of football. You're one of the best ever to lace him up, and I'm glad that I got to watch your career in full. And Mike Tomlin, we'll see how that goes. If this is it for Mike Tomlin, we'll love to see you on TV. It'll be an amazing watch. It'll be must see TV, but I'll be glad to see you gone from this division, basically, terrorizing my Cleveland Browns. But yeah, that's the review. That is the NFL playoff wildcard weekend review. Again, I was 2-4 on my bets against the spread, 3-3, picking them straight up. We will be better. We will be perfect. If we aren't perfect, we'll run a mile. Like Denzel said in Remember the Titans. Not really, because my Achilles still hurt. But anyway, thank you for watching. Appreciate you being here. Appreciate you, going ahead and liking the video, subscribing to the channel. I appreciate you doing that, because I know if you hadn't done it, you've already done it. Or if you hadn't done it yet, you're doing it now. But thank you for being here. Thank you for watching. And we will see you later this week. I'm working on a couple things. Don't know if the things that I'm working on will drop this week or next week, but I got something I'm working on coming soon. It'll be on the channel. Might be this week, might be next week. But at the very least, we will be back on Friday previewing the divisional round games in the NFL. And also, I will talk a little bit about the college football national championship coming up on Monday. So look forward to that. That'll be on Friday. I'll, wrap it all up with Brandon's bets on Friday. But until then, I appreciate you being here, and we'll see you then.